Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for the Ask the Expert North Texas podcast. I'm Kristen Diaz.
David Rankin. Life has been especially rough for teachers for the last few years. Teaching is a difficult enough job, but you throw a pandemic in along with stricter guidelines about the teaching field, you find a lot of disgruntled people that are maybe looking to find another career. But new research from Merrimack College Teacher Survey finds things are getting better. More teachers say they're satisfied with their jobs around the country. On today's Ask the Expert, we're joined by Rena. She's the president of the Alliance AFT, and she is in the KRLD Zoom room. Rena, thank you so much for the time.
Great. Thank you for asking. Happy to be here.
2/3 of teachers say things are better. Is that true in Texas as well?
Pretty much depends on where you are. As compared to the last couple of years, there are things that are some better. For some, time has passed and that is better. But in other situations, because of the expectations, the return to try to be normal for kids, still dealing with discipline, loss of learning, expectations of administrators continuing to pile on, testing. There's still an awful lot that has to be considered. And while it is some better, there are still so many things that need to be addressed in so many different ways.
What has gone right for teachers here in Texas to improve their satisfaction?
Well, I think for many, just having the time to be able to realize I am doing better, but I still have struggles. Time has been favorable for many to be able to think through their thoughts, having some time to reflect and how they've had to change and pivot and do things. But as far as districts and administrations doing a whole lot, the legislature doing a whole lot, that's not there. They are still struggling with those things.
You talked earlier about normal. How important is normal?
I'm not sure that we will ever know what normal is for a long, long time. Because COVID is still around, not to the epidemic levels that it was before, but it is still out there. And some of the precautions that people took before are not implemented now. We're trying to get back to, quote, normal as it was before the pandemic hit, but there are still issues that have to be dealt with. Loss of family, loss of students, loss of jobs, loss of the ability to know how to handle these things, social and emotional wellness, not only for kids, but for the individuals that are teaching our kids and working with them. So there's still a whole lot that needs to be addressed.
You know, Rena, I grew up in school in the 90s, right? And I do remember my parents when I switched school districts a couple of times, and I remember hearing them say something about, oh, but this school has the best technology, and that, you know, they are the most up and coming. And is that still a big draw for schools when we know how technology has affected kids' attention span? Is that still the best avenue?
Well, there again, people are looking at all of that. But if they don't have access to technology, they're behind, because so much of education is dependent on the newest and latest technology to give everyone the same opportunities. And we're just not there.
How good is it for a teacher's career to be able to pivot? You mentioned how they had to pivot to, online schooling and things.
Mm-hmm.
Is that actually good for a teacher's career, though, to be able to do that, to know that they can do that?
Well, I think it helps that everyone knows that a teacher has to be flexible. Things happen daily and you have to make immediate changes, immediate decisions. Being able to pivot to a different style of teaching, a different avenue, a different platform, it just increases that flexibility. But with that come additional headaches, additional issues, additional training that needs to take place, additional ways to keep students engaged in a platform that you have no real control over. So does it make it better? I don't know that it makes it better. It gives them another set of tools and skills to be able to use.
Do Americans still respect the teacher, the profession, or has that been lost?
Well, if you ask many teachers in the classroom, they'll say it's lost, it's gone. There is not the respect for the teaching profession that we used to know it as. And you can look right now at the attacks that are being thrown at educators, our own legislators, who the governor put a task force together for teachers. How do we stop the shortage? How do we keep teachers? He's not even paying any attention, nor are the legislators, because one of the first recommendations was to pay teachers a better salary. And not one of the legislators, not one of the budget proposals even is close to doing that. And so it was just, they're speaking out of both sides of their mouth, quite frankly. And if they truly respected the individuals that are teaching our children, that help them get to where they are, they would certainly put their money where their mouth is. And they're not willing to do that by any stretch of the imagination at this point.
One part of the survey asked teachers, would you advise your younger self to get into the teaching profession? More than half said they wouldn't. What does this say about how teachers can inspire the next generation of teachers?
Well, it makes my heart very sad and very heavy, because I am a lifelong educator. I was in the classroom 26 years. I knew that was what I wanted to do, and to be able to impact those that still are there. But when we hear people say it's just not worth it, and we see so many of our veteran educators that have spent so much of their life leaving because they can go to other professions where they feel respected, they can make more money to make an easier life for themselves and their families. It's very very troubling. Please edit that. Very troubling that we cannot encourage more to go into it. Do what your calling is, do what your preparation is, and prepare to be the best educator you can be. There are some that are still willing to travel that road, and how grateful we are for those. But it's very frightening to know that so many that would be mentors, that they could learn from each other, they're not there anymore, because it has just become so hard. The demands have become so stringent. Dictation as to what you can teach, who you can teach, how you can teach it. Carry guns, don't carry guns. It is just incredibly difficult to say, I'm going to put my life on the line for others when I have a family as well. I'm going to let my health suffer so that I can take care, because the insurance premiums are extremely high. We can't afford them. Any raise that we might think about districts giving, it's wiped out with increases. Next year, we know that TRS insurance is going up anywhere from 10 to 20%.
Yeah.
That is a huge amount for our educators.
Rena Honea from the Alliance AFT. Rena, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.